because of you. And all I reap is all I sow. And love is our living proof. Thank you for life. Thank you for everything. I stand here in grace and gratitude, and I thank you. Now seasons come and seasons go, no matter what we choose. 1,000 names, 1,000 roads, all lead to one simple truth. And I thank you for life. Thank you for everything. And I stand here in grace and gratitude. Oh, I thank you for life. Oh, I thank you for everything. I stand here in grace and gratitude, and I thank you.
Thank you, Kelly Hunt. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see many of you back that I haven't seen for a couple of years. You just heard Susan Goldenberg. The last time she was here, the Sunday before COVID hit. We never thought it'd be 2.5 years before she came back, but that's what it's been. Anyway, happy Mother's Day to the mothers in the audience. If you are a mother and you care to stand, please do so we can give you a round of applause. All the mothers. Yeah. Now, it looks like the mothers are the majority here, so kids and gentlemen, mind your manners. And to all the mothers out there that are streaming in, and we have people streaming from 7 different countries around the world, from 37 different states, and I'm sure there's a lot of mothers out there. We wish you a wonderful Mother's Day as well. On the back of your bulletin, we have an interesting proposition that's been provided for us, and that is a donor has put up $100,000 for matching funds. And that means that if you contribute to the renovation of the lower level, that is Unity Hall and the restaurant and that kind of thing, whatever you put in, it'll be doubled by this particular donor. So think about that. And if you care to participate, there's several different ways in which you can give. We'll now begin the service with the temple chimes, the opening prayer, Geneva Price, and the call to inspiration. Please say this with me if you choose. On this day, we dedicate ourselves to peace on earth. We accept ourselves without harsh judgment and express appreciation for our individuality. We live without fear to meet the events of this day with confidence. We accept others without prejudice, to experience a sense of unity with all people. We honor our earthly environment and recognize a oneness with all creation, in harmony with ourselves, our lives, other people, and all of nature. We live this day with a peaceful mind, a peaceful heart, and a peaceful spirit. Thank you, God. Amen.
Do not be afraid, I am with you. I have called you each by name. Come and walk with me, I love you. You are mine.
Mama's eyes, they hold me, and Mama's eyes are sweet. Mama's eyes may scold me, but I can stand the heat. They're the eyes that light my way when all my light has slipped away. Mama's eyes are beautiful. Mama's eyes are sweet. I've been through some valleys. I've been through some storms. Now there have been some winding roads to places that I thought no love would grow. But through the days and through the years, through the smiles and through the tears, I see her face, I touch her hand, and I feel the strength, and I take a stand. My mama's eyes, they hold me. My mama's eyes are sweet. Mama's eyes may scold me, but I can stand the heat. They're the eyes that light my way when all my light has slipped away. My mama's eyes are beautiful, and mama's eyes are sweet. When I fly too far away, her gentle voice to me does say, feel my love and take my hand and follow me to your promised land. They're the eyes that light my way when all my light has slipped away. Mama's eyes are beautiful, and Mama's eyes are sweet.
Thank you once again, Kelly Hunt. Well, hello once again. If some of you, if this is your first time here, you may not have heard me talk about my cousin Ozzy. If you come often, you probably remember me talking about cousin Ozzy. If you're here every Sunday, you're probably tired of me talking about cousin Ozzy. But nevertheless, a while back, cousin Ozzy got a job. And this is really a milestone for him because he hasn't worked much in his entire life. And he got a job at his senior living residence. And his job was to take the residents, the senior citizens, out to different events or day trips, so to speak. He'd load them up in a big van, and off they'd go. Well, his first assignment was to take them to the county fair, which is about 40 miles away. So he loads them all up in the van, and they're driving down the road, and pretty soon a cop pulls cousin Ozzy over because he was puttering down the road at about 22 miles an hour. The cop comes up to the window, and Ozzy immediately launches into his defense. He says, I wasn't speeding. I look at the signs. I never go a mile over the sign speed limit. I never go a mile under. It's always right on target, so I don't know why you pulled me over. And the highway patrol officer said, we pulled you over because you're going too slow, and going too slow can be just as dangerous as going too fast. And Ozzy says, I wasn't going too slow. I was following the speed that was posted on the sign. And the highway patrol officer said, what was the speed that was posted? And he said, well, it said Highway 22. And the highway patrolman chuckled a little bit. He says, that is not the speed limit. That's the number of the highway that you're on. And then the highway patrol officer looked in the back of the van, and he saw these 10 senior citizens. They were all ashen white, and they were all shaking, looking like there's something wrong with them. And he said, are these people okay? And cousin Ozzy said, yeah, they're okay. And they'll be better in a moment. We just got off Highway 110, and they're a little shaken up. Anyway, I welcome you here this morning, and I don't know what I'd do without cousin Ozzy. He gets me out of the craziest things. In the 8th chapter of John, Jesus says, "And discover the truth, and the truth will set you free." And he said this to people who had been convinced by the religious leaders of the day that they didn't have a worth to their life, they weren't of value, they were oppressed, they were depressed, and they were impoverished. But the religious leaders had convinced them that's just their lot in life. And Jesus said, discover the truth, and the truth will set you free. He said, if you do what I tell you to do, if you practice the principles that I tell you to practice, you'll discover the truth and you will be free of this oppression, you'll be free of the depression, you'll be free of this life that you look at as being miserable. Now, I totally understand that. When we're born into this world, our minds are very much like a brand new computer that's never been programmed. It's just a blank space. As we grow up, our parents, older siblings, teachers, preachers, other authoritative voices begin to program our computer. They tell us what to think, what to feel, what to like, what not to like. So by the time we're 9 or 10 years old, we have this belief system that we've inherited, and that's the way we define our lives. But the problem is that belief system holds many things within it that is not true at all. They're false beliefs. And false beliefs are the primary cause of our worry, our fear, our anxiety, our disgruntledness. All the struggle that we have in life, for the most part, come from things we believe to be true, but are not true at all. Now, when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, I gained the freedom from my parents to be able to walk to school and walk home from school without a chaperone. And this was a big deal. So as I began to do that, I would explore different neighborhoods and pioneer different routes to go back and forth to school, just to have a little bit of adventure. Well, one day I was exploring a brand new route, and I walked by this old house that looked like it might have been a farmhouse. It sat way back from the front of the sidewalk of the street, and it had a chain link fence all the way around it. On the gate of that chain link fence, there was an old rusty sign that said, "Beware of the dog." So first time there, I stopped, I looked at the sign, I looked back at the house, and way off in the distance, I saw this old dusty, brown, floppy-eared dog, and it was staring right at me. And the minute our eye contact connected, that dog got up and started running towards the fence. I got scared. I took off running. But nevertheless, the next day I went back for the same thing. For some reason, it intrigued me. And knowing that I had the fence to protect me, I would just stand back 3 or 4 feet. The dog would come running, barking and growling. He'd jump up on his hind legs, put its paws on the top of the fence, and just bark like crazy. For some reason, I enjoyed that. After a while, I would make that a regular stop on my way home from school. And then one day, as that dog came barking and growling, and I was at a safe distance, it jumped up and put its paws on the fence gate, and it came open. Somebody hadn't latched it properly. For a second, neither one of us knew what to do. The dog just stood there and looked at me, and I looked at him, and then lickety split, I took off running, and that dog came running after me about 7 or 8 feet behind. I zigzagged behind cars. I cut across yards. I ran down an alley until I came to a white picket fence that was on the back side of a yard of somebody's house. I quickly unlatched the gate, got inside, latched it again, and just fell to the ground, gasping for air. Well, here's that dog looking right through the slats at me, and it was gasping and breathing just as hard as I was. But it wasn't barking. And then after a while, that dog put its nose through the slats, and I reached out and I just touched the nose a little bit, being very careful. And the dog began to lick my hand. I got braver, and I stood up and I reached over the fence and I petted its head. And the dog's tail started wagging. It didn't bark. It kept licking at me. And it's there where I had an awakening to the reality that that dog wasn't anything to be aware of. It just wanted a friend. It just wanted to play. Now, I tell you this story because we go through life. There are a lot of signs out there that tell us to beware. They might be a verbal warning by somebody. It might be a visual expression by somebody. It might be a real sign, but there are things out there that are not based on truth, but they tell us to beware of this. Republicans shout out and cry, beware of the Democrats. The Democrats shout out and cry, beware of the Republicans. The Catholics shout out and cry, beware of the Protestants. The Protestants shout out, beware of the Catholics. And both the Protestants and the Catholics shout out, beware of unity. The problem is, most of the information that we've gathered, and everything we know for the most part has been told to us from somebody or something. We've either read it or it has been verbally communicated. But most of the stuff that has been told to us isn't true. It's not based on truth at all. It is something that has been carried over for generations in some cases. Don't do this. You got to like this. You can't like that. Racism comes in many different shades. You know, the blacks shout out, beware of the whites. The whites shout out, beware of the blacks. Other people shout out, beware of the Hispanics or beware of the Asians. All things that have no basis in truth. Now, in Unity, we believe in the spiritual path. And the spiritual path is a simple one. Basically, we progress through life discovering the truth. And it's the truth that sets us free of low self-esteem. It sets us free of false fears. It sets us free of low self-esteem and feelings of inferiority, all these things that we've learned that have cramped our sense of joy and our sense of well-being, we believe to be true. Now, when I was in third grade Sunday school, I grew up in a very fundamental church, so I have a lot of experience with this. When I was in third grade Sunday school, I was given a prayer book, and I still have it, as a matter of fact. And I was so happy to get this book. It was like a little Bible for me, full of prayers. And every Sunday when we came to Sunday school, we were supposed to bring this book and we would read prayers. There are 3 things that I learned from that Sunday school experience. And the first thing was about God. And basically, I learned that God was some man on a throne in the far-off reaches of the sky, and he was a jealous God, he was a vengeful God, he was a punishing God, and he constantly looked over all of creation for the people who were disobedient, and then he would punish them. I learned that God was not good, God was not nice. The second thing I learned was about me, and I learned that I was born sinful by nature, that I was a sinner. Now, this is third grade, and I learned that God was disappointed in me. There's a huge distance between myself and God at that point. God was something to be feared. God was not something to be embraced. God was not a friendly, loving God. God was a mean, dictating God. So one Sunday, we read a prayer, and I'm going to show it on the screen because I want you to get this. It says, "O thou great God, who art just and holy, I, thy sinful and unclean creature, come before thee in deep humility, confessing my many sins and my total unworthiness. I'm aware of my failings and deserve the displeasure and punishment." Now stop and think about it. Is bad enough for an adult to read that, coming from a source of authority, coming from the church, but for a young person in third grade. It totally shaped my life going forward. And in our family, the rule was you had to go to church until you got confirmed. And then you could make the decision. 14, when I got confirmed, I made the decision to leave the church, to leave God, to leave Jesus. Moment in the presence of a minister. I just didn't care for it. And that path didn't serve me well. It was a crooked path. It led me into a lot of problems and a lot of challenges, but nevertheless, it was better than having that message drilled into me Sunday after Sunday after Sunday that I'm no good and God doesn't like me. Well, when I was 30 years old, I discovered unity. And it was like my viewpoint of life was totally dissolved in that moment. It was like curtains opened up, and I saw life in a different way. Unity taught me that God was a loving presence. Not a human being, not a man. God was the energy of the universe. God was the life force of the universe. God was love, and that God was within me, and I was expressing through God. Now that was totally new. At 30 years old, I could accept that, and it made so much sense that I went on to learn more. I learned that in regards to myself, instead of, well, first of all, let me just back up. The fact that I was a sinner and that I was not, that was a disappointment in God's eyes, was explained to me through the story of Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve were the very first people on earth, and this church held to the what they believed to be the truth, that everybody afterward were descendants of Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve were sinful, so everybody else inherited that DNA or that genetic disposition from them, and they were sinful as well. We were sinful by nature and unworthy by nature. So when I came to unity, I learned that wasn't true at all. It wasn't original sin, as we're told from many different religions, but we are an original blessing. We come to this earth with an incredible amount of spiritual attributes. We have the everything we need to live a comfortable and fulfilling life, and we can be a beneficial presence to this earth. The third thing I learned in Sunday school in third grade was that if we don't suffer through this lifetime to gain salvation, in order to go to heaven when we die, we're going to go to hell. And hell was a very creative presentation. It had extreme heat. It had freezing cold. It had the devil that governed over everybody. It had hard labor, and it went on forever. Once you were there, there's no getting out. There's no parole. There was no sentence up. You were under that hellish experience for the rest of your life. Now, those three things, what God was, what I was, and the fact that I might very well go to hell, weighed on me heavily throughout all my years, up until I was 30. And it's not that I thought about it daily, but I could tell that there's something wrong. I felt heavy. I didn't have a sense of worthiness. I didn't have a sense of well-being about myself. I was just here to be punished, here to suffer, and then maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'd get to heaven when I left. Well, unity taught me three things as well. They taught me that God's a loving presence, that God is the spirit of the universe, and God is in everybody. They taught me that I was an original blessing, and that I was here to do something, that I had a purpose, that I had a meaning, and that I could live a life according to my desires. And the third thing it taught me is that there is no hell. Everybody comes forth from divine spirit. Everybody goes back to divine spirit, and divine spirit is what we call heavenly. Now, I tell you this because we have so many signs in our world that upset our peace of mind, our sense of well-being. We believe them to be true. So there are certain things we should beware of. And I'll share those with you, three simple things. The first is, anytime you have a thought, feeling, attitude, or perception that indicates God does not like you, or that God is distant from you, or that you're separated from God, beware of that thought, because it's not based on truth. The second thing I have, anytime you have a thought, feeling, attitude, or perception that you are not worthy, that you are not a good person, that you don't have the divinity within you, beware of that message, because that's not true at all. You came into this world of blessing, you'll leave this world of blessing, and your time here allows you to be a beneficial presence to this earth. And the third thing is, whenever a thought, feeling, attitude, or perception comes into your mind that what is going to happen to you when you leave this world, is there a chance you might go to hell? Beware of that message, because that's not true at all. Over my ministerial career, I've been at the bedside of many people who are right at the about to make their transition. And oftentimes, the question comes up, what do you think happens to us after we die? And I know what people are thinking. To a certain degree, they're thinking, will I go to hell or won't I go to hell? Now, when I was younger, I would say, are you afraid of going to hell? And they'd say, well, I don't know. And I would say to them, if there is a God that would send you to hell when you die, then I call on that God to strike me dead this very moment, because I do not want to live under a God like that. And oftentimes the person would smile and they'd have confidence that there was no hell, that they were going back to their Maker. And I don't do that anymore. Getting older, anything can go wrong. I'm afraid if I said that at that time, I'd have a heart attack and die in the person's presence, and that would really be a catastrophe for them. Anyway, the point is that life is good, that God is good, and that we are good. And we're going to have ups and downs. We're going to have good times. We're going to have bad times. We're going to have struggles. We're going to have tragic experiences in our lives, but life moves on, and we can live with anything as long as we maintain peace of mind and we maintain our faith. So think about that as we go into meditation. Think about your life now. Are you dealing with struggles? Are there huge problems that you don't think you can overcome? Are there challenges that cramp your style, so to speak, and you just don't think that you'll ever be able to live a life that you want to live? And know that you have the potential to create the life of your desire. We'll now move into meditation.
We are all walking. We are all walking. We are all just walking each other home. In this sacred time, in this sacred place, we are not alone. As we stand in grace, 'cause we are all walking. We are all walking. We are all just walking each other home.
Now, as we move into meditation, take a moment to make yourself comfortable. Take a deep breath and just hold it for a moment or two, then slowly exhale, and as you do, feel yourself becoming more relaxed, more at ease. As we go deeper and deeper into meditation, we leave all of our worries and fears behind, all of our anxieties, all of our problems. We find ourselves in a place that is just pure soul. Here we can garner a higher understanding of what life is all about, what we're all about, and what our purpose is for being here. We discover the truth, and the truth will set us free from the idea that God is an unloving God to the idea that God is a loving God. We set ourselves free from the notion that we are sinful by nature, that we're a disappointment in the eyes of God, and that we deserve bad things to happen to us. In this place, we are set free from the notion that the future will bring us great harm. Even at the end of life, we'll be cast into hell. Whatever it is, we know that the future is an open state, and it's blissful, and it will be what we make of it. We'll now move into the silence. Rest peacefully. ever so slowly begin to come back to this time and this place. And do so with a sense of renewal, a sense of restoration of the soul, a sense of rejoice for the life we have lived and the life we have before us. And as I speak these words, please make them your own. Peaceful mind. I am at peace with all the situations and circumstances in my life. Peaceful heart. I am at peace with all the people in my world. And peaceful spirit. I am at peace with the person I am and the life I am living. Peaceful mind, peaceful heart, peaceful spirit. And so it is.
Bless and inspire all who are gathered here with patience, with joy, with hope, love, and peace. Show how the Holy Spirit changes lives by changing our life in word and deed. I honor the Christ of my being.
life is shaped by who we say we have come here to be, creating me. The door is open if we are willing to walk consciously. Oh, create in me. My wildest dreams come true. I see the same for you. The only moment we ever have is right now, you see, creating me. The door is open if we are willing to walk consciously, creating me. Oh, anything is possible now. Everything our mind will allow. Anything is possible now. Everything our minds will allow. Oh, my wildest dreams come true, and I see the same for you. For life is shaped by who we say we have come here to be, create in me.
This concludes our service for today. Once again, I thank you all for coming. And if you have reservations at a restaurant, so you need to hurry out of here, we'll make this quick. We're going to finish with the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. All is well. Please stand and join with me in the peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step